In this session, we're looking at how to move towards a sustainable future. When we talk about sustainable development, there's a number of components and aspects that we need to consider. Human capital, physical capital. When we talk about human capital, of course, the people element comes to mind once again. We have health, education, quality of life. And then on the other side, we have human rights, equity, rule of law. So here I have at the bottom of this picture here, employment, and I have surplus. Here I'm kind of looking at the outcomes. So this one there leads into that one, and this one leads into that one. So we have to consider conditions, outcomes, human capital, and physical capital. Now let's look at sustainable development. The components that we're talking about when we look at sustainability is always social equity, economic efficiency, environmental responsibility. Components are, apologies. Social, economy, environment. So the one would be more focused on people, living conditions, equal opportunity. The other one more the economic mechanism that I have to produce what is required for us to achieve sustainable goals. And environmental responsibility, the rate of consumption, extraction of raw material, and whether I am putting back. Now there's a number of models for this. The one would be the so-called three E's, where you're trying to look at the balance between economy, what the economy needs to achieve, and what the economy needs from a raw material base to achieve what it needs to achieve, how that impacts on the ecology, and how it impacts on people, the society. And the third E there referring to equity. So from a population point of view, lessen population growth and stabilize. That's preferably, like I said just now, it's not a question of judging or it's not a discriminatory comment to make, but we need to look at that. Statistics tells us that by 2030 we will have close to 8.3 billion people with a much higher demand on energy, water, etc., everything that goes with that. Stop subsidizing reproduction. Access to contraception, basic material needs can be satisfied, political and gender equity, and then also access to information and education. So always looking at the people element. Here again I have economy, I have ecology, and I have social development. In terms of moving towards a sustainable future, what are the things that we need to concern? Well, definitely to sustain economic growth. Maximizing profit, not just for profit, but also for ensuring that there is growth in the economy that can benefit all on a larger scale, specifically on a social developmental level and also on an ecological developmental level. When we look at indicators that kind of give us the indication that we're not necessarily moving in the direction that we should in terms of moving towards a sustainable future, we typically look at resource and energy consumption. And we have a sort of a flatline indicator there that tells us this is the carrying capacity that we have when we look at water, energy, and basic needs. So here we have the consumption rate at the moment, and we can see this gives us an indication of what is the sustainable level. Should we exceed that, it goes into an unsustainable level. And then of course the question is, what do we need to do? How do we kind of curve that? The general indicators are always water, minerals and waste, energy and air quality, land and green spaces for biodiversity. Because if we lose our biodiversity, it means that there are some things which we are doing that kind of disrupts the balance that is required to really remain sustainable, specifically on a green sustainability level. Then livability, the people element once again, and transportation. So these are the general indicators that we're looking at in terms of whether we are moving towards a sustainable future. Conventional worlds, great transitions. So again, this gives you an indication if you look at this futures of humanity. Here we have a gross world product. So that's in dollar terms what has been produced and delivered. And here on this side we have the world population in billions. So you can kind of see that there I have this eco, and this one I have this new sustainability paradigm. And so this is what we talk about when we're looking at specifically this what is known here as transitions. What are we doing with that? How are we reading the indicators? And how does that give us an indication of what it is that we should be doing to move towards a more sustainable future? If we talk about conventional worlds, it's kind of leaving things as it is, looking at the consequences of that, and this is a dangerous one. Growth of inequalities and environmental degradation, potential instability and environmental collapse. In other words, what this one is telling us is if we just carry on like this, we are not moving towards a sustainable future. This one is more of a balanced growth one. And again, focusing on these consequences here. So here I have less demographic growth and less environmental change. That's sort of what we want to try and bring about in terms of moving towards a sustainable future. When I have this, which is known as barbarization, you don't want this. This is where you have an element of breakdown. The divide between the have and have-nots becoming unsustainable. Normally, it starts on an economic level, filters through and spills over onto a societal level, and then on a grand scale, impacts negatively on the environment. So here I have economic collapse. We always look at the three elements: economy, environment, society. So the idea would be to get those three into as much balance as possible so that we can move towards a sustainable future. Thank you.